Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Coloring and Comments, a channel where I color in mandalas and talk to you about various topics that are on my mind. And today we'll be talking about friendships and friendships in adulthood and why maintaining friendships is hard as we grow older and how it becomes more difficult to make friends and possibly what we can do if we really want to start making new friends or to grow our friend group. When I was younger, I always had this thing. I'd always ask my mom, like, where are your friends? Like, why don't you have a lot of friends? Why don't I see people visiting you? Which was strange because I was a kid that only had like 2 friends at a time. I don't know why. That only changed when I got to high school, and I can now say I'm very grateful and I'm very lucky that I have a good group of friends that love me and support me. But yes, I digress. I'd always ask my mom this, and when I was younger, I didn't understand that friendships change when you grow older. And not only that, but the courage to make new friends somewhat diminishes significantly as you grow older as well. See, as you approach adulthood, there's this space where you'll find yourself and you'll see that your friend group has grown smaller. You notice that you haven't talked to a friend for days, weeks, even months. But you can't really pinpoint why exactly you stopped talking to that person or how you lost contact with that person. And the simple answer is that you changed. Yes, you changed. So, licensed counselor Suzanne Diggs-White, PhD, explains it in this way. So, excuse me, there'll be page turning because I made a lot of notes today. So, she explains it this way. As we move through the different roles we take in life, from child to adolescent to young adult, half a couple, parent, and so on, our sense of self also changes, and so do our needs. How we spend our time and what we need from friends when we're teenagers and young single adults often changes or becomes quite different from what we enjoy and need from social connections when we grow older. With that being said, when you are older and you notice that your friend group has shrunk somewhat, it's very tempting to say that you don't need friends because you've been functioning with 1 or 2 friends, so why add more? But friendships in adulthood are very important. And the primary reason for that is that they are a major contributor to one's mental well-being. Good friendships create a sense of belonging. This is because you have a tribe. As humans are social creatures, and we always want to feel like we belong somewhere. So when we step out of our house, we want to know that I have a tribe waiting for me that will embrace me for whoever I am or for who I am. We want a tribe that will accept you. You want a tribe that will encourage you to remain your true and authentic self. But more importantly, you also want a tribe to hold you in the times when you can't hold yourself. Friendships also improve your sense of worth and your self-confidence. I have to say, I know I mentioned it already, but I have to say that I have a wonderful group of friends that love me and support me. And I say this because my friends are the type, if I have to tell my friends, look, I want to go to the moon tomorrow, they won't tell me that your dreams are somewhat unrealistic or I don't think that's possible. My friends will be like, okay, when do you want to go? Tomorrow. Cool. What do we need to do? What do we need to get? How do we make this happen for you? And that's something that everyone wants because you want to feel like you're valued, you are loved, and that you are important. So yes, I'm very lucky. And I know some people want the same thing. But making friends as an adult can be very hard and can be very intimidating for a number of reasons. I read an article in Psychology Today, and I'll make sure to link it in the description box below. And the title of the article is Making Adult Friends is Hard. Here are 40 reasons why. And they give 6 broad categories as to why making friends in adulthood can be very difficult. And we'll talk about these 6 categories very broadly, very briefly. But I also want you to tell me down in the comment section, which of these categories do you fall under when you are trying to make a friend, or the category that you most identify with when you feel like it's really hard to make a friend. So number 1, introversion. As you grow older, you become busier, right? And in this busyness that you find yourself in, you become more isolated. You start spending more time by yourself. And because you're spending so much time by yourself, it makes it hard to meet other people. And the brain is a wonderful thing, right? And the brain always finds ways to justify things to help us cope. So when you're in isolation and you're always busy and you can't make new connections, what your brain does is your brain tells you that you're actually quite shy and you're antisocial, so you don't have to go outside. And even if you go outside, you're shy and antisocial, so you shouldn't talk to anyone, so we won't make connections and we won't make friends. And having that thought pattern in your mind makes it hard to open up to people, right? When you finally meet them, and makes it hard to go beyond the connection of acquaintance into a connection of friendship. And that ties into the second thing, or the second category, which is the fear of rejection. So with that limiting belief that we have developed in isolation, that we are shy and antisocial, we now start developing this fear of rejection, because we now believe, I am shy and antisocial, therefore I am awkward, therefore if I go outside, people won't really like me, and people won't want to be my friend, and I don't want to get rejected, so I might as well not try and make any friends. Long, but that's what usually happens. And with this fear of rejection, being amongst other people makes you extremely nervous. And it makes you nervous and it makes you anxious. And that's where the confirmation bias comes in, because now with that anxiety that comes from the fear, you confirm that, yes, in fact, I am therefore antisocial because I'm getting so anxious. Therefore, I should just stay at home and not make friends, because how I was reasoning is now justified by my experience. We then go to the third reason, pragmatic reasons. So as we grow older, our health is affected. And by our health, these are different things, both physically and psychologically. And these all can prevent you from socializing effectively with those around you or with people that you already know. And sometimes it might not be as extreme as a physical or mental illness at any given time. Sometimes it can be as simple as you have to move to another country because you want to further your career. And when you get to that country, you see that you are surrounded by people of a different culture, or you're surrounded by people that speak a different language, people that don't look like you. And because it's such a shift from one environment to another, it can be a little anxiety filling, if that's a word. To be in a new place, you do get anxious, you do get afraid, because you don't know how best to assimilate. And what often happens when we're older, Because when we're younger, when we go to a new place, we run around, we want to see everything because we're curious. But as adults, when we go into a new place, we want to hide and we tell ourselves that we're so different, nobody will want us, nobody will accept us the way we are, so we might as well stay home and not interact with anybody. So you might not think that consciously, but a lot of times this happens subconsciously and therefore affects the way in which you try to interact with others. The fourth reason is low trust. I never understood this. You'd always think like old people are so annoying because they always give you a lot of advice and you're just like, but I didn't ask for it. Like, that makes no sense. Like, that doesn't apply to my life. But you experience a lot of things as you grow older. And unfortunately, a lot of times we experience things that are hurtful, and we experience things that are hurtful from people that are close to us, people that we loved, people that we considered friends. And because of this hurt, we become less trusting. And so we then project this hurt from the past into our future. So now every time somebody approaches you and wants to be your friend, you are very suspicious because you're like, why does this person want to be my friend? What do they want from me? They clearly just want to be my friend because I am A, B, and C, or I have D, E, and F. And it's something that's very difficult to get over, but it's something that I believe can be worked on and fixed on, partly by also working on your inner child. And I have a couple of videos that talk to that, and I'll make sure to link those videos as well. The fifth category is a lack of time, right? So our priorities and our commitments change and grow as we grow older. Some people get families, some people get more demanding jobs. So the amount of free time that we have is eroded. And the little free time that we do get, we kind of want to spend it by ourselves to decompress, or we want to spend it with our partners because we haven't seen them in a while, or we want to spend it with our children because we don't want our children to feel like the parent is working too much or working all the time and doesn't see them as a priority. But within that little free time that you have or that you get, it's important to make sure that you have a little time for your friends. It can be as small as a 5-minute phone call or a 30-minute lunch date, but try and make time for those connections, especially the ones that you value. And that brings us to the last category, being too picky. And there's nothing wrong with having preferences. There's nothing wrong with wanting a certain type of friend. However, when we get older, we always make excuses for everything. We make excuses for everything, and why, most importantly, we can't make new friends, or we can't meet new people. It's either the people are too old to be your friend, they're too young to be your friend, they're of a different tribe, so they can't be your friend, or there might be a language barrier, so they can't be your friend. So we find any and every reason to not connect with other people. And again, that stems from a lot of fear because of past experiences. And a lot of times you want to make sure that whoever I pick will be as closest to me as possible so that they can't hurt me going forward. But we know that that's not how we can live life. So when you are picking a friend, also remember that it's very important to have a very diverse group of friends, because that's the only way you'll learn, that's the only way you'll grow. And also, all friendships are different, right? They're all beautiful, they're all supportive, but they all look different. And that will mean you picking a very diverse group of people to be your friend. But if you're still not really convinced and you're like, no, it's still going to be difficult, I really can't do it, I'm afraid, or I don't have time, or whatever reason you might have, I'm going to give you a few ways to make friends. So whenever you can squeeze in that time, think of these few ways to make friends, and come back later and let me know if they work for you, because some have actually worked for me, so I can attest to them. The first one is start with what you have. Most of us will realize that we have a lot of dormant friendships. So we have a lot of people that we were friends with in the past. We stopped being friends. And there's nothing really that made us stop being friends. We just stopped talking. It's not like we fell out or had a large argument or anything. We just stopped talking. So start with those people. Take the first step. Send them a text message. Give them a call. Ask them if they would like to hang out one day. And this is the best first step, because this is someone you already know, someone you have some common ground with. That's why you were friends, and that lessens the anxiety that surrounds meeting new people, right? The second way that we can make new friends is by being more interested instead of focusing on being interesting. So when we are in isolation now, right, and we have convinced ourselves that we are antisocial and shy, when we are trying to break out of this shell that we have created, we always seem to want to find tons of ways to make us seem more cool, make us seem more interesting, so that when we start talking to people, we have this entire list to mention so that we look good in front of others. But you have to realize that when you're making friends, and even in a friendship, it's not about you. It's about the next person. It's about your friend. And people want people that listen to them. People want people that will understand them, and you can only understand if you're truly listening to your friend. And then you might think, oh, but it's going to be one-sided. No, because the other person is going to see it and view it in the same way. So they might feel like they're going to share something with you today, but then they'll create space for you to share something tomorrow. And so through listening, you can actually gauge and pinpoint what you have in common with this new person that you may have met. And you may realize that, okay, they might have been not my friend preference, but actually we have the same hobby in common, or we like the same type of music, the same type of movies, and so on and so forth. And after you've mastered that skill of listening to your friend or your new friend and making sure that you are interested in what they have to say, you have to learn to celebrate your friends. Celebrate the good things that happens in their lives. Because it was found that, and it's quite weird because I never thought it would be this way, but it was found that a lot of the friendships that are close, that are have a deep connection, are not simply friendships where people were there for you when you were down, but there are friendships where people encouraged you and celebrated you when you finally achieved what you wanted to achieve. And it makes sense, because if you celebrate me, it means that with every step that I took to get to that point, you were cheering me on and you wanted the best for me. And now that I finally got my best, it makes you genuinely happy. And that's a great measure for a friend. Number 3 is you need to be open. So a lot of us have acquaintances, like people that we know, maybe from the office, going to the gym or whatever, but we always wonder, like, how exactly can we move this from being an acquaintance to being a friend? And the only way you can really do this is by being more open and opening up. And yes, this is very difficult, but you can only, that's how it has to go, because you want to create a real connection. right? You don't want to create surface level connections, because that's what acquaintances are. You want to be somewhat vulnerable. You don't have to share everything in your life, but you need to share something that the other person may feel, oh wow, they're sharing this with me. This is something that's very big and important to them, i.e. that's why it's important to listen. Therefore, them sharing this with me means that they trust me, they value my opinion, and they want me to be there for them. And then that person will do the same with you. Number 4, which is the hardest possibly, but also the most important, and that is you just need to make time. And this is because the leading cause of friendships ending is the lack of time. Like, people can't commit to dates. People are always busy, and this is something that I've been very guilty of. I work a lot of the times, and when I'm not working, I'm studying. When I'm not studying, then I'm probably sleeping. And I didn't make that time. But I told myself that this year I'll be very intentional with my friendships. I'll be very intentional with my time, and I'll try my best to be there. I'll try my best to be there to my friends that I see often, but I also try to be there to you as my subscribers, because I see you as an extension of my friend group. So yes, you need to make time, because the thing with spending time is that not only do you stay connected, but that person feels that you value them in some way, because you could have been spending this 30 minutes maybe finishing a deadline, but you chose to spend it with them. And like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be in person all the time. It would be great if it was, but one thing that COVID has taught us is that there's a lot of different ways in which we can connect with people, and this is where social media also steps in. So use all the platforms that you have to your advantage and connect with everyone that you want to connect with. So yes, friendships in adulthood take a lot of effort and take a lot of time, but like we said earlier, they are worth it. I'd like to hear your take on friendships as an adult. Please make sure you leave a comment in the comment section and tell me, have you made new friends as you've grown older, or do you still have the same friend group from high school? What was the most challenging thing that you encountered in trying to make new friends or maintaining those friendships? I'd really like to know, and maybe we can make a follow-up video based on what I hear. So make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. May your day be colorful and wonderful, and I'll see you in the next one.